Hi, my name is Sascha Giese and I'm the international head geek working for SolarWinds. I think the threat landscape is not really different based on region, but maybe based on vertical. So if you are in healthcare or finance, there's different threats. But I think on a global scale, we look at like ransomware attacks. We still look, unfortunately, at malicious insider threats, which is an ongoing thing. And that, I think, is a global problem because cybercrime is a business, basically. And there's a lot of money to make for some shady folks. Most people are probably not exactly familiar what happened in SolarWinds, so the short version is that there's, in the development process, is a step called build environment or a compiler, and that got compromised, and malicious code, each time we shipped code, malicious code got added. To prevent this from happening again, we came up with a concept called Secure by Design, which is a bit of a bigger concept, so I only will give you a short summary of this. We have multiple development teams now who independently work on the same code snippet, and we have a different team which will always check if the code is exactly the same. It is kind of the same concept. If I'm in the kitchen and cook a meal and create a recipe, and I give you the recipe, and you recook it, it should taste the same good or bad, basically, as the same as I cook it. And we do this concept in development now, so we can bypass any problems if someone is trying to manipulate the code. And this is kind of a concept which is an industry first. So previously, everyone built code based on best practices, but based on our experience, we can now say that those best practices are no longer able to deal with the threats based on any kind of software development process. Well, with distributed environments, a big problem is there's a lot of dynamic changes, and for us humans, it's not always easy to get an understanding of what application is delivered how, because we no longer look at a three-tiered process. It's decentralized, as you mentioned. So I think a very important first step is to create a baseline, to create an inventory, see what is normal, and this will help to prevent things like shadow IT, which is really easy to find, and it's not exactly rocket science to use this to secure your environment as a very first step. Most organizations collect a lot of different metrics, which is like CPU utilization, bandwidth, whatever. But it's not always clear what does it mean for the business, because it's so many metrics. If my business is being a hotel, I'm interested in how many rooms are booked per day. If my business is, I don't know, a shoe shop online, then I'm interested in how many customers purchasing shoes and move them on per hour. These are key performance metrics for the business. So observability will allow businesses to see the impact of those hundreds or thousands of different metrics, the impact on the key performance indicator. So if there's a bandwidth problem somewhere in my network, what does it mean for my rooms booked per day? And that is, in a nutshell, the difference between just management and monitoring and observability. So we want to provide businesses an easy way to get an understanding of their IT environment. On a very basic level, it is like finding what is out there and creating a baseline normalization of data. We could either look into different elements like change control on a network device, or we look into patterns of traffic between two different applications, which might be in the cloud, hybrid, whatever, and we would create a baseline in an automated way. And each time there's an anomaly, we could probably use some form of intelligence to see, is this normal? What is the reason why those values changed? There might always be a normal explanation, but there's always a risk that something happened in regards to security. So in observability, when we try to make more use of the data that we collect, we want to provide a more visual aspect. So we don't expect IT people to go through log files and log files and log files. They don't have time for that. A machine can do so. So we humans just want easy charts, something that we understand within a few seconds. And observability will be able to help here too. We come from a more than 20-year-old background in management and monitoring, and we are very experienced in that part. So moving on to observability is basically the next logic step for us. We already collected a lot of different data points from even decentralized environment, from different hyperscalers, from different vendors, whatever it is. And we are able to connect the dots in a way not many other organizations can, because we look into those each individual layers, each individual values, and bring it together for the IT professional, because we see it as our task to make life a little bit easier for the IT pro. And a job in IT is very challenging, and it gets even more challenging. There's shortages of talents, there's budget cuts, there's uncertainty because we don't know, will we go back to our offices? Is there another wave? We don't know, right? So it's very, very difficult to work in IT, and we see it as our job to make life easy, and we do so quite well for many, many years.